Hey guys, welcome back to a new lecture. In this lecture, we are going to talk about built-in functions and built-in modules. So as you know, as a programmer, you are not going to write each and every code, each and everything by yourself. There are some pre-written things, there are pre-written functionalities that has already been done. So that means most of the things that you are going to do from day-to-day life, from day-to-day programming, small things, so you don't have to write your code every time. There are some things that are already being done and they are done in the form of functions. So a function is something that if there is a code that is used again and again, that can be used again in future and it has to be saved. So instead of writing that code every time, what you can do is you can save this code under a function. And all you have to do is just call that function whenever you want to use it. So instead of writing that code again, you just need to call that particular function. So there are two types of function. One is built-in function. So the day-to-day activities that we are going to do with Python basics are already totally dependent on built-in functions. So there are Python creators who have done that. And to use these function, all you have to do is just write the function name. And the second one is user-defined function. So the function that we write in our code while scripting, while creating algorithms, while programming or doing anything while developing an application. So there are some functions that we are going to reuse many times. So we call them user-defined function. So that we are going to cover in function module. We'll be creating our own function. At this point of time, we need to understand built-in function. So you already know this particular print statement. So this print statement helps us to print things that we are going to give as argument. So argument is something that I am going to give this particular function. So whenever I call a function, I need to give it something. That something is argument. So if I print now we have already talked about print as a function. There are different type of functions that we have already talked about. We have talked about input. So the input function is really useful to get stuff and store it into a variable. We have talked about in, float to typecast thing. So these type of functions are really useful, but there are a lot more functions and how to get them. So to understand all the different type of functions that are available, all you have to do is go on to python.org, that is the official website of Python. Go on to docs and here you can choose the version that you are using. We are currently using the latest one, that is 3.7.1, and currently 3.8 is into development phase. And once you select your version, just click on to library reference. Here you can select built-in functions. Now you can get all the list of functions, and if you want any definition, if you want any example, just click on that particular function. So here if I need to use any function, if I need to give a try to a function, all I have to do is click on that particular function. So I have clicked on max. Now if I read about this function, you will already able to understand its functionality, that is what it is going to do. So I just read, and if I call the max function, it will return the largest item that are available in the argument. We'll be performing that. But what if I don't want to mess with this particular website? So what you can do is just write directory, that is dir, open parentheses, then underscore and underscore, write built-ins, and then doubles underscore and then closing parentheses. And if you click enter, you will get the list of all the functions. It is easy for you to understand on Python website, and you can also do that on Python shell. Now if I want to give a try to max, that is max, and here I need to pass some arguments. Let me give arguments as 5, 55, 10, something like that. And if I click enter, it returns me the highest value, that is 90 in this particular case. And if I want to check more built-in functions, I can use that. I might use length to check out the length of a variable or maybe length of an object. I might use some print that you already know. I can use power, that is POW. This function help us to do, like if I need to do 2 raised to the power of 10, I can just pass them. So if I just try out the power function, that is pow, and if I pass 2 and 10, you will get the result. It is 1024, that is 2 to the power of 10. So these are built-in function and they are really grateful and they are already stored in our interpreter. But what if there are some functionalities that are already available on net and we can just download them and use, or there are some modules if we want to use. So modules are basically big bunch of code, and they are not functions, they are big bunch of code that have their own functionalities. So if I install a module can have their own 20-30 functions. So to have a module, all you have to do is import it. So there is already one downloaded module which is known as math. And if I want to add it into our code, into our program, all I have to use is import and then the module name. Since its name is math, I can use that math, and now this particular module is added into our code. And if I want to perform something with related module with its functionality, I can do that. So let me clear this out and start with module of math. So here on the clear screen, I just need to import math, which is already into my system. Now to use this module, all you have to write is math and then dot, and now you can use its functions. So there are different functions that are available. You can see here. There is some sine function, there is some square function, tan function, cos function, power function. So I would try to use sqrt function. So sqrt is square root. So if I give a value of 5 here, and you can see I got a square root of 5. And if I want to store this into a variable, I can do that. I can use some variable name and then call this particular module and then dot, then call a function whichever I want. You can get the list here, and I just need to use sqrt and then pass out the value. Maybe I just call 16, and if I print here the variable, you can see I got the value. So it returns the value into float. And if I want to check all the functions that are available in this module, all I have to do is call my directory and pass out my module. And you can see I got all the names, that is all the functions name that are included in this module. So modules and functions are really important. When we are going to move into module, function, library, these sections, you will get to know a lot more thing. At this point of time, all you have to understand is you can import modules, you can call their functions, you can give functions a value, and you can get a result. I hope this lecture was helpful. In the next lecture, let us do some more stuff with Python.